Hey, in this episode we're painting a really cool environment, and of course I'll break down some of the main steps for you. My name is Victor, I'm a concept artist, I work for film and games. I really hope you guys will enjoy this video. So let's get started. Alright, so there are tons of ways you can start your painting. In this case, I'm starting with a very simple Linework sketch, and then I'm kind of filling in all the main shapes that I designed in the composition phase, and then I'm worried about the form, and then I worry about the edges, details, and things like that. Sometimes though, if you can see in previous videos, I prefer to start with a black and white thumbnail sketch, composition sketch. It takes around from 5 minutes to 15 minutes maybe. Usually there I focus on values and drawing at the same time, right? Sometimes even edges. So I do this very quick conceptual tiny sketches that they help me visualize my idea very quickly on paper, right? And if I see some idea has potential, I then proceed with a more detailed step-by-step approach. But in this case, I figure out I'll just do a really simple sketch, and then I would move and think about the values, about the mood and the lighting. So usually it's very important to have a bunch of reference images with your lighting scenario you want to go for, with some materials, some similar environments, and so on. In this case, I'm going for a very sort of like a rocky environment with a arid type of weather, and I'm already thinking what kind of mood I'm going for and how I'm going to split this image into 2 parts dark and 1 part light. I kind of figured that maybe it would look cool if we have like this huge wall of rock in front of us in the foreground, and it's going to be in shadow, but we will also expose for shadow, right? So the shadow area will not be super dark, and you will be able to see things clearer in it. But because of this, we will overexpose the light in the background, so we'll make that area like really lit, and some of the details will not be seen due to really high exposure to light. Also, for those of you that want to learn even more, I'm uploading full process videos with extra commentary, original PSD files, and extra brushes on my Patreon page. So if you're interested, feel free to check it out. So I'm thinking that right now it would be already a good idea to figure out how much I want to push these values, because I've started by working in midtones mostly, and I didn't want to end up without any contrast, right? Without any value range. Sometimes people start picking a lot of contrast, a lot of value contrast in the beginning. You end up already spending all your value range, and then kind of want more contrast in the foreground, for example, and the foreground ends up being completely dark. So we don't want that, so that's why I usually tend to work in midtones more or less in the beginning, and in the second half of the process I'm kind of pushing the values even more, trying to figure out interesting lighting scenario and so on, trying to also be economical with the brush and not to waste a lot of brush strokes. So, and actually that's a very important thing. I would say that when I'm recording these videos, I'm always conscious of the fact that time is running out, and I have to kind of be in a hurry. I'm trying to show as much of an effective and fast process as possible, but that's actually detrimental, I think, for the end result, right? So for future videos I will do my best to probably try and not rush myself so much, and also not pay attention to the timer. But because this timer, the recording software, is right there in my face, I always keep tabs on it, and I'm kind of figuring out that, oh, it's been 1 hour, I'm almost half done, oh, it's 2 hours, I should be at the end of the process. It's probably not useful at all. Right, so another thing is that I'm not stuck in one place, and you probably noticed if you watch previous videos, it's not a very good habit to kind of stay a lot in one spot and to detail it and then zoom out and see that there's no consistency to your image. So try to figure out a way where you can paint for 5-10 minutes in one plane and then move to the other, and kind of keep things consistent, and then but also keep in mind the focal point, storytelling in general. So right now I'm already trying to describe a little bit the forms for the midground, those mountains that we have over there, and trying to understand what kind of values and what kind of colors I should apply. And I'm thinking that there's going to be a stronger directional light from the left, kind of hitting these rocks and creating this contrast. Notice that I kind of placed those really saturated marks on the mountain in the middle ground, just because I wanted to create a little bit of flashes of color, otherwise it seemed a little bit too desaturated. And I'm also returning to the foreground and trying to figure out this vegetation, adding just a couple of marks to make sure that it's organic. It looks, a little bit painterly, because that's the style I'm going for. Eventually I will aim for maybe creating like really overexposed light areas, and blowing out the lights in the background, and more or less keeping things clear in the shadows. And that was my initial composition idea. So it's really helpful to try and create those black and white sketches in the beginning, because you sort of like testing and already assessing if that idea has potential. And I'm also thinking that maybe it was a little bit too empty in the foreground, and probably would be cool to maybe create like sort of a cave, or maybe some kind of entrance as well, to add a little bit more storytelling, a little bit more interest. And also notice that I'm trying to clean up some things. For example, I'm thinking that this vegetation in the foreground wasn't adding too much to the image, didn't have any direction, didn't have any purpose for the composition, so I sort of cleaned it up a little bit. And now I'm thinking how I can describe this idea with the cave in the rock, and maybe there is like a totem or like some sort of carvings over there. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it helpful. If you did, please consider liking and subscribing, it helps a ton. Also, feel free to ask any questions you have in the comment section. Again, thank you so much for watching till the end, and I hope to see you in the next one, coming soon.